Hi all. Okay, I've had pretty good response from my first video on everyone, so I've decided to really go ahead and try and do something serious about this channel, right? And I've put a little plan together. This channel is all about creating maths relating to numbers, right, for high or secondary school entry knowledge level. It's specifically skewed towards trying to get kids who are preparing to go to high school or secondary school, right, to understand a lot of the knowledge that they should have at that stage. One of the challenges that we face certainly in South Africa is that kids get into that environment and they come from different primary schools where they could have different levels of education, right, and knowledge pertaining to things that they need to know by the time they start secondary school or grade 8 in South Africa, or probably grade 8 in most countries. So I've created a channel called Teach South Africa, right, and this is the second video in my series. Right, so the first one was called Factors. It was basic factorization. The second one is finding prime factors of a number, and that's this video. I plan to then move on to the next two videos, saying finding, which will deal with finding common factors of numbers, and then I'll take this, which is all about numbers, and I'll try and do a little bit of algebra on that, right, which is probably what they'll be teaching in the first year of secondary or high school. Okay, but at least it will give them an introduction and give them a little bit of knowledge over there. So this is certainly skewed towards parents, right, making sure that kids are looking at this and they're actually understanding it. Right, so if you like what you see, give me a like, right? If you want to leave comments. So you don't need to give me a thumbs up, you can give me a thumbs down as well. I'm certainly aware that that might be the case, right? If you like the channel and you want to subscribe to future videos relating to this, right, and future little lessons on this, keep the subscribe going. And if you stick on the bell on this side, then you'll be warned when I've set something new in the environment. So yes, please. All right, the other thing that I wanted to just say is I've tried to keep these videos very short, very concise, so that I can deal with the attention span issues. Right, without further ado, let's carry on and have a look at finding prime factors, right? So let's pick a number, right, and we want to find the prime factors of it, right? So we'll deal with 30. Right, let's continue, right? The first thing you probably want to know is what is a prime number, right? And surprise, surprise, many children don't actually understand prime numbers correctly. Prime numbers are very simply numbers that are divisible, in other words, can be divided by themselves or 1, all right? And no other number actually goes into that prime number at all, right, that will result in an answer of a whole number, right? When we try to find prime numbers of, let's say, this number 30, we just start at 2, right, and we carry on. So we try 2, okay, and it's very similar to what we did in finding the factors. The only thing is we just want to deal with prime factors, okay? So let's have a look at that. 2 is a prime number. It's divisible only by itself and 1, okay? Nothing else can divide into 2 and give you a whole number result. Right, so 2 goes into 30, absolutely. So the moment we've got that, we write it down. We say this is the prime factor of 30. Right, and we look at the result and we say it's 15 times. Now all you do is you cascade that 15 down to the next level and you say, right, let's try 2 again. So you keep trying the smallest prime number or any prime number, it doesn't really matter, but it's nice to have a little bit of a structure to what you're doing. So keep trying 2. So we try 2 again. 2 goes into 15, doesn't go into 15, it has a remainder, and we need to have answers as a whole number. So 2 is a prime factor, but there's only one of them. So now we'll drop the 15 down again, cascade the 15, right, and we'll try 3. 3 goes into 15, absolutely, you know your rules of division. 1 plus 5 is 6, 6 is divided by 3, so 3 will go into 15. By the way, if this was 15,000, it would be 1 plus 5 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0, which is 6. 15,000 is also divisible by 3. Right, so let's have a look. So the moment we've done that, we say, okay, let's write the 3 down and the answer, okay, and we cascade the answer down. And now we try 3 again. So that's the important thing, is we've tried 2 twice, we're going to try 3 twice. You can immediately see that 3 does not go into 15, so that doesn't work, and we cascade the 5 down. All right, and we say, right, what's the next prime number? I've got them up here. So 1, 2, 3, 5. 5 is only divisible by itself and by 1 without leaving a remainder. So let's try 5. And sure enough, 5 goes into 5 one time. And hallelujah, we're ending up with a 1 at the bottom over here. And the moment we've hit 1, it is a prime number. It is a factor. But it's really not something that we're worried about. And you'll understand why y just now. So we now know that we're not worried about the 1. We now know that the prime factors of 30 are 2, 3, 5. Let's have a look at that. What does that mean? That means you need to check your answer. In mathematics and numbers, the important thing to teach children and the important thing for children to learn, and I'm really appealing to all the kids watching this, right, is check every answer. You've got the answer that an answer can be checked. All right. So if we're saying 2, 3, and 5 are the prime numbers of are the prime factors of 30, 2 times 3 times 5 is 30. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 5 is 30. The 1 is kind of meaningless, and I'll explain why. Right? Because 1 times 30 is 30. 1 times 30 is 30. So it doesn't matter how many times you've got 1. Right? 1 is repetitive. Right? And we're not worried about the 1 in this case. Okay. Let's do another one. Right? Let's pick a number, say 40. Because now you're going to see why I picked the number 40 shortly. All right? Okay, so 2 goes into 40 for sure. 20 times. We write down the 2. Right? Now we try 2 again. But we got 20. Right? So 2 goes into 20. Remember, we cascade this little green number down every time. Right? 2 goes into 20 10 times. Right? So we have a second factor of 2. Now you got 2 2's as being the prime factors. All right? And guess what? We'll try 2 again because we haven't failed on 2 yet. And 2 goes into 10 5 times. Right? And so what we do is we say, right, we've got another 2. So we've got that 2, this 2, and this 2 because it's worked without a remainder. Without a remainder. Now, we can see immediately that 5 is not divisible by 2. So 3, and so we try the next one. Okay? 3 does not go into 5 either. So we're skipping 3. Right? And then we say, well, 5 goes into 5 one time. Wonderful, right? So we know 5 is a prime factor because it goes in and we've ended up with a 1. And the answer is very simple. The prime factors of 40 are 2, 2, 2, and 5. Now, let's look at writing this a little bit better. All right? So we check our answer. Very important. First thing we do is we check our answer. Kids, listen to me. Check your answers, right? It's far better to complete 80% of any paper that you write and have 70% correct, because then you have 70%, then complete the whole exam, right? And have a whole bunch of errors in there. Take the time to check your answers every time. You say 2 times 2 times 2 times 5 is 40. Let's check that. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, 8 times 5 is 40. Wonderful, works. But correctly written, for mathematics, we'll say it's 2 to the power of 3 times 5 equals 40. 2 to the power of 3 simply means 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 to the power of 3 is the same as 2 times 2 times 2. Now we've done this correctly. Right. Now I want to teach you another method to do this, because this leads on to the next thing that we're going to be doing. Right? Is I want you to use the tree method of finding it. Now that we understand how this works, right, we understand we're only going to use prime numbers. Let's look at the tree method. Let's take 40 again. All right. So you say, right, 40 can be 2 times 2. So we're building a little tree. Right. Remember, a tree, kind of like a Christmas tree, is a thing that's shaped like this. So we're using a tree method. And 2 is a prime factor. Right. So that's going to work. So we say, right, okay, we'll circle it so we know that that's a prime factor. Right. The next thing we do is say, right, 20, right, is 2 times 10. You'll see that there's a little bit of a trend starting to follow here. So on the right-hand side of the tree, right, we are slowly but surely creating all the numbers that we still need to figure out. Okay, so 2 times 10 is 20 without a remainder, so that works. Right, we circle it. But what you do now is you cascade that 2 down, because when you get to the bottom of the tree, you should have your complete list of factors. Right, so you just cascade the 2 down. 2 is there, 2 is 10. Now we're going to look at 10. What is 10? 10 is also divisible by 2, all right? And it relieves a 5, and we keep the ones we haven't dealt with on the right-hand side of the tree, right? And over here, we cascade down all the prime factors, and we ring them. And guess what? Very quick to see, 5 is also a prime number, so we have the same answer. 2, the prime factors of 40 are 2, 2, 2, and 5. We know that from a previous one. I just needed to show you the tree method, because we're going to use that when we're trying to do the next lesson. All right. So correctly written, this is 2 to the power of 3 times 5 is 40. Guys, and that's it. Very short and sweet. Right? Have a look at it repeatedly. Understand it. Right? If the number that you're trying to put a prime factor on is, for instance, 13, which is a prime factor, then it's only got one factor. It's 1 times 13. End of story. Okay, good. So as I say again, that's me, right? If you like what you see, tell me, please. If you don't like, tell me that as well, right? If you want to leave a comment, leave a comment. If you want to ask a question, ask a question. Subscribe and put on the bell. Thank you all.